For this kind of quick video, I'm trying a new disclaimer type since I figured that it'll aid in keeping retention for longer, it's less taxing to put together, and it fits better for this more informal, opinionated style of video. This video is an opinion piece and does not take into account enough of the facts to be considered informational or unbiased, so please do not consider my opinion to be law. Please seek out other perspectives besides mine to get a bigger picture once you're done with this video if you can and/or haven't already. Also, please, for the love of God, I cannot stress this enough, do not harass anybody mentioned or even alluded to in this video. I do not tolerate harassment or cyberbullying of any kind coming from my community, and I will not be afraid to call out that kind of behavior when I see it. I apologize in advance if I speak way too fast, and I've included built-in subtitles if you'd rather just read along with the script instead. I'm also going to ramble and possibly even derail a lot given the unstructured nature of this video. This video is for mature audiences due to the discussed subject matter, including the shows themselves being inappropriate for younger audiences. This video doesn't go too in-depth, and there isn't much triggering material to really speak of. Anyways, enjoy the video! Welp, I never thought I'd actually try my hand at one of these, but here we are. Today, I want to discuss my opinions regarding VivziePop and her work without having to worry about turning it into a massive research project, and for this video in particular, I decided I wanted to challenge myself to a video making sprint, giving myself less than 24 hours to make an entirely new video from start to finish. Before you worry, despite the turn my life has taken, the Shed a Vanilla video is still happening, I promise. It's just that editing has been stressful, and paired with my life getting hectic out of absolutely nowhere, I'm pretty close to just seeking out and hiring a video editor for the rest of that project. Back to the topic at hand, however. Honestly, I've got a lot to say on this subject due to my history with Vivzie's work, and I figured I can't just bottle up my actual feelings on the matter. To be blunt, I'm both extremely fond of the shows for what they got me through, and not at all impressed by VivziePop as a person, but also and especially with both the fandom and hatedom. I have a lot of problems with damn near every side of the discussion, but can also understand and agree with a lot of the presented points, and I'm going to lay them out here. Let's start with a bit of my history regarding VivziePop and her work before moving on to my opinions regarding everything else. I'll try to keep specific examples limited since I can't really keep track of any of them, but please note that this isn't a mere hate video. In fact, I have plenty of things to praise about the subject matter, but of course, there are things to criticize and go on rants about as well. Without further ado, let's get on to it. Okay, so I'm going to start by stating this straight off the bat. VivziePop's work has had a fundamental impact on my art. I first came across Vivzie in 2016 or 2017 with her Die Young music video, featuring her OC JJ. Now, I fell in love with her art style as soon as I saw it, and if you really look at it, a lot of my art style is inspired by her work, and it began to take a lot of inspiration from hers by the time 2018 rolled around. I became interested in Hazbin Hotel, her indie animated series project, in 2019, and I've engaged and kept up with both it and its sister show Hell of a Boss since both of their pilots. I adored the Hazbin Hotel pilot and everything about it, but after the lockdowns and shit, I started seeing people getting on the asses of others for liking it because of VivziePop being problematic or something, and I didn't really care for, and I'm going to piss a few people off by saying this. All the moral grandstanding on the subject. Keeping this as vague as possible, next, I got into some conflict in 2022, one of the reasons for the other side to not like me being me supporting problematic creators, referring to VivziePop as I was later told, and for a while I just became hyper-defensive of her work and saw any opinion or call-out as a personal attack due to the nature of the situation itself that I perceived at the time. Eventually, though, I became more open to seeing Vivzie's faults after I made a series of hard turns in my overall viewpoints that came with age and maturity, and after numerous videos on the matter, such as those by Autistic Swag and other creators, as well as witnessing Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss's quality declines, some gradual and others immediate, I decided I wasn't too happy with a lot of things, but also accepted the role it had on my life and recovery overall. The first and arguably least controversial point I have would be... Okay, so I was gonna add a section divider here, but I decided that wasn't gonna fit with this video format, so sorry about that. Back to the video. Don't get me wrong, Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss have a special place in my heart, and are both some of my main interests. Honestly, Hell of a Boss got me through one of the lowest periods of my life, and as I face setbacks in my recovery, I increasingly find myself going back to these shows as comfort media, no matter how god-awful they may be at times. A lot of my problems with VivziePop's works comes from the fact that the writing is just not as good as I thought it was at first. Hell of a Boss suffered from the most rapid case of seasonal, no, scratch that, episodic rot I have ever seen, and I'm going to admit now, Stolitz was mishandled severely in my opinion. I get where the writers, including Vibzy, were coming from, however, I'm gonna be entirely honest here. Stolitz got endgamed so hard that it completely hijacked the plot the show was supposed to have, and completely obliterated the previous characters that were there in favor of whatever the show is now. And don't get me wrong, I used to OTP Stolitz back in the interim between two of my past shipping hyperfixations, but I don't really ship it anymore, and I'm only still in it shipping-wise for the inspiration for my OC ships, and to see what I can do to avoid the utter character assassination that in part caused Helluva Boss to spiral like it did. As for Hazbin Hotel, I liked it when it came out. The songs in both shows are utterly amazing, but nothing will ever top Addict by Silvahound in my opinion. I absolutely adore the art in the show, and while it does have numerous issues, it's basically eye candy to me. The voice acting is pretty okay, but is missing the charm of the original cast. The same praises and criticisms apply to Helluva Boss as well, and I'll admit it right now, Helluva Boss got me through hell, and so did Hazbin Hotel, but at the same time, I just wish it didn't utterly derail as hard as it did. The plots don't make sense, comedic timing and tonal whiplash are both huge problems, and it's like Hazbin and Helluva want to be comedic and serious at the same time, and the way they're executing it isn't the best way to go. Wait, I hear you say. When the hell are you gonna address Vibzy Pop's problematic behavior? I'll get there, I promise. Even then, that whole line of thought is probably gonna end up being its own section anyways. Back to the subject at hand, though. Some of my favorite characters include Cherry Bomb and Veronica Mayday. I especially love their character designs, and the people who designed them did an amazing job on them and the rest of their characters. I have so many praises and critiques for the projects, however, I want to go over them in more detail in a future video that's more structured and organized than this heaping trash fire of a video. Now, the moment you've been waiting for, the part where I give my thoughts on Vibzy Pop's actions. I'm going to be blunt, I do not like Vibzy Pop as a person, but I have an equal, if not greater amount of contempt for the antidom she has as well. That's neither here nor there though. I want to talk about a lot of things here. I do not like the way Vibzy Pop handles criticism in the slightest, and quite frankly, she needs to just get off social media for her own sake. That's the least of my problems in regards to the matter. However, as quite frankly, while she's not a demon like people make her out to be, she's definitely a shitty person in quite a few areas, at least from what I've personally gathered. A lot of what I'm claiming here comes from Autistic Swag's videos, but there are other claims I make here which I will make an attempt to substantiate. Anyways, I'm not exactly a fan of how Vibzy has treated those around her, especially in the case of Kendraws and the original voice actors for the pilot. The turnover rate of Spindlehorse itself also shocks me, but then again, I'm going to admit it, I know jack and shit about the animation industry. My reasons for hating Vibzy Pop as a person are relatively minor compared to others, and there are far worse things she's done that I'm not going to get into here. Instead, I've linked a further watching playlist in the description that has people going into a lot more depth than I have the capacity to share here, and I encourage you to show them some support and do your own digging in the process. Anyways, can we talk about fandom and hatedom? Oh my good lord, I get so viscerally annoyed by both of them. They're two sides of the same coin and nobody wants to acknowledge it because you have to either be on one side or the other apparently. The fandom defends Vibzy too much, and the antidom is in and of itself a fucking trash fire. I'm going to be honest here when I say that I viscerally despise people who treat the mere consumption of the Helliverse as a major moral failing. I doubt they actually believe what they say a lot of the time, and there are far worse creators out there that you can direct this energy to, such as J.K. Rowling, who is an entire can of worms I won't get into here. Enough whataboutism though, Vibzy Pop is still a shitty person to me. I'm not going to tell you that you can or can't support her. In fact, that's your right to do or not do. I myself have sworn off buying official merchandise in favor of fan-made creations. I know I haven't elaborated much on my opinions, but god, this subject just gets me so fired up it's kind of amazing. Honestly, I'm just gonna end the video here. I'm just gonna go off script here and say that this video was incredibly surface level. It does not encompass all of my opinions. I just needed to get something out with a fleeting idea. I'm sorry I've kept you guys in the dark. Yeah. Tell me in the comments how you guys like this shorter, less formal kind of opinion piece, what I can improve of it, or if I should just go back to the drawing board with this one. This video wasn't supposed to be too in-depth, and if anything, is a surface level look into my opinions you could arguably get in a much less drawn out format on a Twitter thread. If this video bombs, so be it, but yeah, that's gonna do it for today. See ya!